time
y'all are
already.
in for a treat.
Now, sorry, I just want to make sure that was on. But yes, Bug Doctor is absolutely fantastic with this game. Uh, he's had several runs that should have world record at this point, so you're in for a treat. So right at the beginning here, there's two sections to StarTropics, more or less. You have the overworld sections and you have the dungeon sections. The overworld sections, you have to talk to specific people to get past the flags to continue. So you don't necessarily have to talk to everyone in a village. It all kind of depends on which village you're in. So you just have to talk to the right people in order to get past the guard that's blocking you, and then you can get to the fun dungeon areas. So first, we're just going to go here, talk to the chief. He's going to give us a yo-yo because we're a baseball player. Ace pitcher, and obviously that means yo-yo is the ideal weapon.
I suppose the logic is he throws out the yo-yo like he would be throwing a fastball, and therefore at high velocity, and it does damage. I mean, that's what we would assume is the logic. It seems to work out pretty well.
I like how she's holding a piece of bread.
Okay, I'm so glad you said that, because I remember playing this game growing up. I was like, why is she waving a breadstick in my face? I don't get it.
She's not. It's her hand. It's just weird art of how it looks. So anyway, right here, the first dungeon of the game. Within this game, you're going to notice that you have a grid-like movement. You are locked onto whatever squares you go onto, unless you go back the way you came. So you do have to be kind of precise with where you're going. However, the really, really neat thing about this speedrun is you can buffer pretty much every single input in this game ahead of time. So every single one of these jumps he's going to do across the stones here, he's releasing A and then holding it long before he ever lands, and just immediately on the first frame possible sends him forward. Yeah, same with attacking. Go ahead.
The buffering of inputs is used extensively throughout this entire run, not just in the dungeons, but also when it comes to clearing text, to submerging with your submarine. Everything, like pretty much everything is buffered throughout the entire game.
You will notice that sometimes he's killing a couple enemies that are nearby him that he doesn't have to kill. It's not just because he's trying to have fun with it necessarily. It's actually because there's a scoring system in this game, and the scoring system in this game is very bizarre in that it counts down for each enemy that you kill. So you are rewarded for not killing things in this game. It's very strange. But he's going to try and kill extra things that are along the way. That way he can reduce how many frames it counts up at the end for that score.
All right, so here comes our first boss, quote-unquote, fight. So what we do is we abuse iframes when we get hit. Yeah, you get the good pattern where he slides to the left, slides to the right, back to the left, shoots a fireball at you, which only does 1 damage. During those iframes, you can jump right over his head, along his body, and over to the top of the next screen, and that is it.
Yep. Good fight. That was a good pattern. That snake, the sea serpent, he can he likes to dance sometimes, you know, he'll just wiggle back and forth across that platform for, 30 seconds or something. And then sometimes he'll open his mouth and not even shoot anything at you, so he can troll you pretty hard sometimes. A lot of the bosses in this game are very random. That's actually one of the lesser ones. The next one's going to be the bigger factor.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's always the worst when he just shimmies back and forth and then opens his mouth just to yell at you, and you're like, no, that's not what I wanted. Just hit me, please. Good thing that RNG is in the very we're about 4.5 minutes into this run.
Oh no,
so far.
I think it's even less than that.
Oh, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, I guess it's about 3.5 minutes. I guess
I think it's 3.5.
Yeah. But he got the good pattern, and so we're good. All right, off to shout-outs to Zarek, another fellow speedrunner of this game. He has a large affinity for these dolphins here. What's going on is Mama Dolphin has lost her baby boy and has asked you to retrieve him, and so we will. But first, we have to come on over here, and we need to get a message in a bottle in order to get a code which we'll input into the submarine, which is going to allow us to use its submerge function. And this is going to be kind of like it's like a teleport on rails that we're going to use throughout the game as long as we have the submarine to get through some of these kind of more labyrinthian overworld sections when you're in sub.
Now, something to note here with the text, he actually is holding right now, along with A, because that's going to allow him to choose no, I don't want to read this message again immediately. So again, all text as well as any other inputs also gets included in the buffering. Something else to note about the submarine, you saw him kind of going through tunnels to get through to this area, not the submerging ones, but like the one he's going to come up here, it's going vertically. If you press A right before you go through them, it sends you through a couple frames faster. So he's trying to do that as much as possible, except for one particular one in Chapter 5, and we'll get to that one later, but it, for some reason, loses time on that one and only one.
Do want to shout out Vassal Gaming here for the 1,000 bits. Thank you so much for that donation.
Actually, on that note, the beginning of Chapter 2 here is not going to have a whole lot going on for it, so if there are any other donations, you can probably redo it now.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And thank you, Vassal Gaming. Appreciate the 1,000 bits. We got a few of them here, actually. We have GareBear87 donating $10 with no message. We have Brett Suzo donated $10. His message was MC plus yellow, smiley face, smiley face, smiley face, smiley face.
Freaking Brett. Freaking Suzo.
That puts yellow back in the lead for Mute Crimson Plus, which is Terex's favorite color. And then we had Clipper1 donated $50 for Raph, the best turtle ever. So that puts Raph back in the lead over Donatello by a single penny. So you have plenty of time to impact both of those bid wars, and they're very, very close. Yellow's ahead of Green by $5 and Pink by $9. And Raph ahead of Don by a penny. So thank you very much.
So one thing that Bug did a couple of rooms ago was shortly after he entered the room, he just jumped straight up in place. Now that was not at all by accident. What he was doing there, and that the room he did it was beautifully executed, is he's essentially using that as a very specific timing buffer. The sinking stones that will go down and then reappear are on a fixed cycle as soon as you enter a room. So he knows exactly when the timing is going to be as soon as he gets in there. So he uses that time to make sure that once he gets to that sinking stone, it's reappearing just as he's jumping onto it. It almost looks like a leap of faith if you're not aware of how that timing works. But Bug Doctor pulled it off perfectly.
We're going to see what kind of randomness he is here. That's a pretty darn good pattern, I will say that. The Octots move around randomly, but you can kind of predict where they go. If they're facing left, they'll either jump left or down, and alternatively, if they're facing right, they'll either jump right or to the right. So here's Octo the Huge. We're hoping for a good pattern. So far... Okay, actually, that's not too bad. That's actually really not that bad. He can just stay up at the top forever. And just do what he wants.
Perfect.
Yep.
So, yeah, so he picked up that snowman item, which just freezes enemies in place for a set amount of time, which we use here at the boss. You get 2 of them. Typically, you can use 2 to make sure that you do it safely, but Bug Doctor is good with his quote-unquote mashing, where he only needed to do it once. Now, this is an interesting opportunity to talk about how mashing in this game works. The yo-yo throws, like we said before, those can be buffered, but the closer your target, when you hit it with your yo-yo, the sooner it will come back to you, such that your mashing speed can actually be varied based on how close your enemy is to you. Also, if you just sit there and mash the button back and forth, you're not going to throw your yo-yo out nearly at its optimal rate. What he's doing is, as soon as it throws out, he's releasing the button and buffering it again, and you have to do that in a very specific timing in order to make sure that you're getting out as many yo-yo throws as you can in a fixed amount of time. So the fact that he was able to one cycle that tells me that his mashing is on point. He's in the zone so far. This has been a really good run up to this point.
Yeah, this has been quite good. Yeah, and like you said, you don't want to mash as fast as possible because it messes up with what the timing is on it, and you end up going much slower. So here we like to eat sand. Hope everybody else does. It's One of my favorite parts. Just throw my face right into it. Can't help myself.
So this game is broken up into 8 chapters. We have now begun chapter 3. This is by far the longest chapter in the game. We're going to go through 5 individual dungeons in this one, a couple of which are noteworthy for being rather tricky, especially in certain sections. So the first one is relatively brief, but it does have some brutal RNG, or potentially brutal RNG coming up here.
Best room you
that
could get
wasn't
there
it
with the
though.
dodos.
That was brilliant. The dodos were just fine, but it's this next room here with the monkeys. Actually, the next 2 rooms, and let's see how he does here.
Monkeys are much worse. Dodos are somewhat consistent. If you get in their line of sight, they'll usually head towards you. Monkeys are 100% random, so they're kind of nightmare rooms, unfortunately.
That first one was pretty good, though.
Yeah, that one's not too bad.
That one was good, too. Nice. Very nice.
Good luck there as well. That top snake can sometimes come down a second time, and you have to wait a split second longer.
Okay,
It's going to forego the health here. Go ahead.
There's another example of what I was talking about before, where in that last room, he threw out that bola, even though there wasn't any enemies in there. The timing that it takes to throw out that bola was just enough to get him in the right kind of the right setup for those sinking stones in that room.
Well, it's a pretty darn good dungeon there. It took no damage, which is actually very important later on in the run.
Absolutely.
We'll end up getting upgrades that require health in order to hold on to them, so later on that'll become a pretty big factor. Plus, given how long Chapter 3 is, you have, 5 dungeons in it? It's all your health carries over from one dungeon to the next, so it does become very important through this chapter.
Now, in this town here, there's going to be a little hut that he's going to pass through. However, if you talk to the boy in there, he will refill your health, but doing so wastes, I don't know, about 6 to 7 seconds.
Yeah,
so
like that.
I know Bug is confident enough that he's just going to sail right by it. In fact, it's this. Oh, hold on. Before I get to that, that blue girl that he just talked to, you have to tell her that she's cute. Otherwise, you cannot advance here. It is
her rival,
a
Miss
plot trigger.
Coral, was on the first one.
You have to tell her she's cute. But other than that, he's just walking through this town, talking to people and doing things. So, Faster, if you have any more donations or blurbs or whatnot, this is actually a good opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, no more donations at this moment, but I again want to remind you, you're watching Bring 'Em Over 3. We are raising money for Ohan, Prizzy, and Becco to come over and participate in the Mega Man 4 through 6 relay. Great run so far, so let's looking forward to seeing more of it here.
Yeah, awesome. Miracola is probably one of the universally hated parts for everyone, just because it's like, here's this super long village section that you have to talk to nearly every single person inside. So he's almost done here. He talked to everybody, talked to the chief. I was going to go upstairs, and once he's talked to the chief, he can now go talk to his daughter, who is asleep, which is required.
Also, should point out that her name is Bananette, because why wouldn't you take an opportunity to point that out? Yeah, I think what makes this town so brutal is not only it's so long, but you do so much backtracking, which just makes it a lot more tedious.
But we're finally out of there, and we're going to get to our next dungeon quite soon here. Pass to conversing Cleary. That's a good one. Let's see if he goes there. The hard strat here. Yep, he's going for it.
That was beautiful.
Well done. So there's kind of 2 strats you can do there. One, you wait for the first bonehead to come down towards you, or you can do what he did, where you manipulate him to come down towards you and then go to his side in the small frame you have to go through. So it makes it a lot faster, just given positioning that you end in the room.
There's another example. You see, he swung that bat. Just, oh, look at that. He jumps off of it. Like the stone hadn't even fully reappeared in the room. That's, I mean, some frame perfect stuff. Switchback? Yeah, you got it. All right. So there's a little trick you can do on that second staircase where if you press back to the right at the exact frame, Mike will turn around, but he won't actually walk off of the staircase, which means when you reappear on the next screen, you're already going to be facing right, which is what you want to do. It saves 4 frames, but mostly it's swag.
Pretty much. If you miss it, then you lose a second. So, 4 frames a second. Obviously, go for the 4 frames.
Oh, that hit there from that Mudman was not ideal, but I think
Yeah, he gets a pretty bad pattern.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine to work around this, though.
Yeah. This next boss is a little interesting in that we're not actually going to fight the boss. Only this is intended, unlike the Sea Serpent. So here, there's not anything you can do to damage the boss. Instead, what we're going to attempt to do is break the bridge that he's sitting on and dump him into the water. Okay,
that
2
was
hearts.
Excellent.
Should be fine.
2 hearts is fine. There's a very specific pattern, and you saw him use the bat again to come in the room to kind of just force buffer the timing, because when he spits out the fire is on a set cycle as well, so he knows exactly when those fireballs are going to come out and what direction they're going to come out based on the timing and where he physically is in the room during those times.
You're going to hear the word buffer a lot. I hope you guys like the word buffer.
And for me, this was actually one of the things that really got me into, once I started to learn the speed one, that really kind of engrossed me in it, is just all of the specific timing that comes with all the buffers that you do. Like we said, throughout the entire run, this is a very technical run, especially to do at a high level. So definitely appreciate what you're watching here. Don't want to jinx the guy, but Bug has been, he has been sailing through this so far. But this is where things can get a little dicey. 3-3 is
the gatekeeper to getting a run going.
Stinks. There's also going to be a couple
bad
of
pattern.
Yeah, it's a bad pattern.
That's a really bad pattern.
The most important thing there is he did not take damage. The worst thing you can see, and let's hope we don't see it here, is when 2 enemies stack up on top of one another, which that wasn't the case here, so that's good. Because you can only damage one at a time, which means the other one will come through unscathed, most likely damage you. Now in this room here, he's going to move in a particular pattern because there are invisible ghosts that are going back and forth that you can't see that can do damage to you. Luckily, we know what cycle they're on. He's going to use this to his extreme advantage in the next room. He's going to walk in a very particular pattern, and let's see if he avoids all damage. Perfect.
All right, good. Yes, I did want to stay silent on there just in case, because that room is like a lot trickier than it looks.
It very much. I remember learning that room. I just sat there and drilled it with save states. Probably took me half an hour, 40 minutes just to get it down. One room.
Yeah, there's 4 ghosts in that small area, so if you mess it up once, you could very easily take it in multiple hits and then just die. So.
And having a good amount of HP is not only important for the rest of this dungeon, but for the beginning of the next one, moreover. All right, now this next room is going to be lots of fun. We're going to do this completely in the dark, and we know exactly where to go, so let's let him... Brilliant. Now, what you could probably hear, but obviously could not see, in that very last section at the end, there are 2 sinking stones that he jumped on. because he buffered everything perfectly and his timing was just lined up, despite the fact that he could not see the sinking stones, he still was able to jump on them safely and get through that room completely unscathed.
Okay, getting some hearts here. That's good. Had a bit of a mishap with the strong arm. Didn't get a jump off and ended up tanking a hit. When you are in iframes, your attack is considerably less. You just can't attack nearly as often. So it becomes quite scary in certain situations like that. But he's got some more health, so we're doing fine.
Ooh, well done there by Bug. That's what I was talking about, where those enemies can stack on top of one another, but he was able to jump to give himself a little bit of breathing room so that they wouldn't get him there, because he does not want to take any more damage here, that's for sure.
Oh, spawn.
Yeah, not a good pattern here from these wizards. Now, okay, this next room, hold on, we'll explain when he's done.
Yeah, good pattern.
That was perfect.
So, the mummy room here, this is another instance of you have to clear the room by killing certain enemies, but not necessarily all of them. So in that case, the only ones that you don't have to kill are the bottom two when you enter the room. So you just have to keep track of those two and make sure those are the ones that you don't kill in the end. But it can be very easily to have the mummies accidentally manipulate into an area you don't want them to be.
I was gonna say that is
that room was awesome.
That is a lot more difficult than you make it sound. So the fact that Bug pulled that off, that was literally perfect. All right, so here you fight King Boo, just like we did in Super Mario World beforehand. Oh my god,
that was a fairly good maxi pattern. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. The ghost name actually is Maxi.
Okay, so as I said earlier, health is very important. He's a little low for the most optimal time coming into the next dungeon, but it doesn't necessarily matter. So long as he has 2 hearts going into the next dungeon, he's pretty safe. It's better if you have 4 hearts, but it's only going to be a second and a half time loss to have it this way, so he should be safe. And the reason for that is because coming up here we're going to be getting our shooting star, which is the upgrade weapon, and you need 6 hearts to use it.
Yeah, so coming out of there with at least 2 hearts is imperative. If you don't, you can actually go and grab a heart container, which not only will give you a 7th maximum heart, but it will also refill your life. However, doing that probably wastes about 20 seconds. So if you're really attacking for time, that is definitely not ideal. But yes, 2.5, he's in great shape.
So for a moment while he's getting into Shikola here, it's not going to be a lot going on, so if you have something you want to plug, you can go for it.
Yeah, thank you. Got a donation to read. Hobo Jim donated $10. Says, Bug Doctor running StarTropics with Vanny and Tarek's commentary. Forget GDQ. There's no getting better than this. Thank you very much for the donation.
Yeah, thank you, Hobo.
Thank you, Hobo. He's also another runner.
Yeah, he's another excellent runner of this game as well. So, love to see the StarTropics community support here. That's pretty sweet. So the whole point of going through that graveyard was to drain the lake in the middle of it and get this crystal ball so that we can give it to the fortune teller, who is going to disguise Mike as quote unquote Michelle, or more importantly a female, so that he can get into Shikola, because as a male they're not going to admit him entrance. Now we talk to the Queen of Shikola. She is going to give us a weapon called the Shooting Star. Shooting Star is going to not only give you a little projectile to your normal weapon, it's also going to do a lot more damage. However, you cannot have the Shooting Star as your weapon unless you have at least 6 full hearts, which is why that health was so important. There's going to be 2 heart pickups, which will recover 4 hearts at the very beginning, essentially, of this next dungeon. So he's good to go there. So now he's talked to the Queen. He needs to talk to this warrior here in purple so that she can tell Mike the magic spell. I'm sorry, Michelle, the magic spell, so that he can actually get through the next dungeon. That is an actual event trigger.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you'll be stomping on a switch indefinitely.
Yeah. You will be accomplishing very little.
So as the instructions are that the head warrior gave us, we had to jump on this switch 10 times and shout abracadabra. So I need everybody in chat to do the same. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Abracadabra.
Abracadabra.
All right. So right there is that like half-second time loss to pick up the extra hearts that are sitting there. Okay. That was good on him to wait. He saw that both Octots were doubled up on each other, so it was better to wait and see what their pattern was before going.
That was great awareness by him.
You absolutely need to make sure that you have the shooting star here.
So
makes things much faster.
Real quick, this next room, he's going to walk in a very particular pattern to get everything to spawn very quickly, these mud skippers. So 1, 2, 3, he's going to kill these Octots. There's the fourth one. Boom, he's
awesome.
Done. Super quick. Very well done.
Also, for those who don't know, since I don't think we ever mentioned it, stars, as you see him often pick up, if you get 5 of them, you get a heart. So in certain situations, it actually becomes really handy if they happen to drop a lot of them and you need that extra heart. There are other situations where that becomes an annoyance because your yo-yo picks up items, so it gets in the way of trying to attack something.
Another example of knowing specifically which enemy to kill in order to progress, instead of having to kill all of them. It's just that snake on the bottom right.
And okay, you can already see the usefulness of the shooting star. 1 with projectile and 2 with how much damage it's doing. Like those boneheads take 5 normally. In this case, they only take 3. These skulls and Octots and things would normally take 2. They're only taking 1 now, so it makes things much, much faster, and especially at the end of this dungeon.
All right, so this is the second section of 3.5. There are definitely a couple of troll spots here, and this is absolutely one of them. Let's see if they treat Bug nicely, and they sure do. Oh, that's
okay.
nice. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I do not blame him for killing that Frappa there. They have a much higher movement speed than you do, so he very easily could have taken a hit exiting that room had he not killed him. Gonna kill that skull at the top because, again, the more enemies you kill, the less it has to count down, so it's a couple frames saved. Here, this room is random. We are hoping that the Frappas spawn quickly. That's okay. That's not okay. Okay, so it's kind of a slow pattern in there.
Yeah, a little bit. So, and there's really nothing you can do about it.
Here we just need to kill the middle one. As soon as you enter the room anyway, based on the fact that they move around. Now these extra couple of rooms here, after this one here, we're gonna have the big bullies, and this is the biggest reason why we need to have the shooting star, because these things take 11 hits normally. Good, we got the good pattern, having them go up so that we can go straight to the switch. But yeah, so they take 11 hits normally, but they'll only take 6 with the shooting star.
Yeah, it's just 6. That's right.
You see him move down and use the movement of being perpendicular to his advantage to be able to kill things. That's the benefit of having some of the enemies also on the same grid movement as you, is you can pass by them while they're move in one direction and have them not actually see you but still attack them in the process.
He faded out 3.5. Sub 29. He is.
Wow.
He's in
okay.
This is a really, really good run, which I've come accustomed to seeing from Bug Doctor. Like we said, he is an excellent runner of this game. So he's doing his thing, man. He's putting on a show for you. I hope you all are appreciating what you're watching here.
Run, hurry to donate all towards the marathon.
Yes, please.
So we got a lot of text here and not a whole lot coming up at the moment. So again, if you want to plug something, now would be a good time.
Sure. Let me go ahead. Oh, actually, just had a donation come in as you said
Oh,
that.
perfect.
I'm going to let that populate though, because there might be a comment. We just to let you know what's coming up. After this run, we have Sonic the Hedgehog 2 with Supersonic and Leandrum. Also, incentive-wise, the next one is Mario Kart 64. That's coming up in a little over an hour, and it's a character bid war. Yoshi is leading with $5. It's the only one that's gotten a donation. So if you want to choose either Peach or Toad, you can get that for a pretty low total. Okay, so the donation we have from Sarah B donated $5. Bug Doctor has been running this game for a while and has improved so much. You can do it, buddy. Get that world record, Bug Doctor. Thank you so much for the donation.
Yeah, thank you very much. And again, if you didn't say in the comment, you could probably say in chat. If you have anything you want that to go towards, any incentives, please do tell us and we'll put it towards any games or any bid wars going on.
Alrighty, so Chapter 4 is unique in that there's no dungeons for you to fight here, but it's also unique in that you get swallowed by a whale, and you talk to Babu, who is Dr. J's assistant. Dr. J is Mike's uncle that was working on some stuff and mysteriously disappeared, and Babu's like, yo, there's some crazy stuff going on, but we're inside this whale. That doesn't help. I have a lighter. It's around here somewhere. Why don't you go back and fetch it? And so that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, onto the best chapter of the game. Nobody could ever deny that.
No question.
No question. It's got the best dungeon, it's got the best music, best atmosphere. Everything about this is absolutely fantastic.
4 out of 5 StarTropics runners agree. This is the best chapter in the game.
Please post your whales.
The rare case where ASC2 art during a marathon is actually encouraged.
Yes, please do post whales. It's awesome. We appreciate whales. All right, so just a couple more spots and we'll be getting the lighter here. The absolutely normal sized lighter that isn't absolutely enormous. That somehow fits in our pocket still. Nice whales. It's good chat. Alright, so right at the end of the whale, they've got one shortcut back, so you don't have to go all the way back through the whale. And you can just head straight over to Babu. So coming up on this is actually the one technical part of this chapter. There's a code that you have to input, and it was kind of a form of a piracy protection that they had back in the day. So you actually had to have a physical letter that came boxed with the game that you're supposed to dip in water, and once you do that, it reveals the code that he's about to input here, which is 747.
Yeah, this was
pretty fast input. Nice.
Yeah, that was nice. So back in the day when this game came out, you could, it was very common to rent actual video games from your video rental store. And if the store wasn't savvy to this whole thing, you would rent this game, get to that code where you would need to input it, and you were stuck. You essentially, it was like a pseudo soft lock, if you will, because unless you just went brute force on the code and just entered in as many 3-digit combinations as you felt like, just banging your head against the wall, you weren't getting past that. So that was kind of an interesting little quirk. Now, from what I understand, the Wii U Virtual Console version of this has a virtual instruction booklet in it where you can get to it and you tap A and it does this water effect and the code comes up, which is pretty cool. So
yeah, the Virtual Console releases both do that.
Yeah, that's good. That is good. So, but that's where the code comes in.
Something to note here as he gets back in the submarine. As I mentioned earlier in Chapter 2, you want to press A when going through these tunnels to go faster. This is the one time you do not want to do that. If you press A when you go there, it's actually quite scary. Your screen freezes up for a second and you think that you soft locked it, you haven't, it just takes a long time to come back. So
do you have any idea why it is that for this one particular level it does that? It behaves like
I have no idea. Fulco is probably the only person that has an idea.
So
Fulco
strange,
being the current record holder. If he's in chat, he might be able to enlighten us. But here we go to Belcola. Just got to talk to, again, specific people, not everyone. And it's interesting about this one, you don't necessarily have to talk to specific people for two of them. The man down there that he was greeted by and the woman in red in the other house both say the same text line. So you can go to either one of them and still have it work, but the man outside is a lot faster, so. Fulco hasn't looked into it, that's fine. It's a pretty minor thing. Big Chief, Skinny Chief. Always found that funny that their
the
sprite
discrepancy
was
there
huge.
is rather alarming.
As the story goes, this town was founded by a British pirate. What was it, 1640? I think is the year they put in there. And that's whose ship is there, blocking the way forward. This is a descendant of his parrot Peter. We give him the worm that we got earlier from Bait, and he gives us a code essentially. You may or may not pick up on that on your first playthrough right away, but he gives you a phrase, "Do me so far, do me."
So what that code is it's what's referred to as solfege, which is a musical kind of representation of syllables for different notes in a scale. If you've heard that famous song from The Sound of Music, that's that's essentially what solfege is. That's what they use there. Now, what we're going to do in a second here is we're going to go into Captain Bell's tower. There's a huge organ where you can actually step on the keys in order to sound certain tones. We need to do this in a certain order in order to progress, and the order that we do it in is that solfege that Peter just told us about there. So it's going to be C, E, G, F, C, and then E. Have to do it in that particular order. If you misstep, you have to exit the room and come back in, and that's obviously a huge time loss.
Yep. So we beat the chapter 5 boss because there's no boss to this chapter. That is the boss in this chapter.
Yeah, exactly.
Just make sure you don't mess that up, which is why I didn't want to say anything. Because yeah, like I said, if you step on a wrong key, then you have to exit and then come back in to reset it. So Dungeon 5 is a pretty unique dungeon compared to the others. Rather than focusing on just like hordes of enemies and things, this dungeon is based around traps instead. So a lot of the rooms are based on Mike running away from various things being thrown at him. Or, falling away from him.
Right, yeah, exactly. So you're going to pick up a couple hearts here so that he has the shooting star coming through here. Because that's going to be important in a couple rooms.
One less jump. Oh, okay, he doesn't do a jump. Never mind. Making a fool of myself. I'm used to people jumping there, like myself, to get over that error. But that works too. It's probably a few frames faster, which is why he's a lot better than I am.
I was going to say, there's us, and then there's Bug Doctor.
Here we just need to kill a bat in this room. Do have to kill the snake there, otherwise you run into it. So that's kind of bad if that happens.
Yeah, and he would probably just buffer by swinging his weapon anyway for that timing. So the fact that he just does it and kills it is perfectly fine.
Bats lined up pretty
right,
nicely for him there to get extra.
Yep.
Kills.
Yeah. So here we have the bowling balls, which are, I forget what their actual official names are.
Okay. It's a little scary. These things are a one-hit kill if you touch them, even if they're not moving. Yeah, and I forget the official name, but bowling balls, that works too. Good pattern from the ghosts here. You can have one that spawns in front of you, and that kind of messes with your movement through there. So as long as he doesn't spawn in front of you, then you're good.
Oh wow, he just one-cycled that last part. That was brilliant.
Gonna manipulate the snakes to charge at him so they can finish the room closer to the door. Awesome dodo pattern. Here he's gonna do a very specific set of movements involving the mirror as well. And that's gonna allow him to exit this room without having to stop. To wait for the bowling ball.
It's just a clinic, man. The way he's using the buffers here, it's just a thing of beauty. It's like he's doing a dance almost. It's really fun to watch.
Get to use a scepter once more.
That's
a
a
lot
very
easier.
intentional damage boost, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to manage if you only take out or get the first one moving, because then you don't have two objects running back and forth on you. He's not going to need the hearts here because he's going to get hearts in the next room and the following room after that, so only take those hearts if you absolutely are down on them.
Oh, but well, again,
he'll get more hearts, so...
Yeah, so the damage isn't the concern there, it's just the fact that it wastes time. You know, just to take the damage boost there.
So with the bowling balls, you can actually hit them multiple times, and they'll stun for an even longer period of time. I just want to make sure he's that before I say anything else. So yeah, you can stun them for longer. Just based on that, you can hit them multiple times. That was an excellent room. Wow.
I was just gonna say that was a beautiful pattern.
That is not one that happens that often.
No, it is not. And with that, he's basically done with Chapter 5. He just needs to jump on this tile 3 times, open up this door here, let the water flow through. The boat is going to sink. We are going to salute Captain Bell, and then we are off to Chapter 6. And man, still, this is an excellent run he's laying down so far, I'm telling you.
This is an American song, right?
Yes, it is.
Absolutely not God Save the Queen because it's a British pirate. Totally all America. Because this is Mike Jones and he's from Seattle.
Speaking of all America, one thing that's unique about StarTropics among NES games is that this game was only released initially in the United States. It did not have a Japanese release.
Yep, yeah, and it was released in Europe as well. The second game was released exclusively in the United States. It was made by the Punch-Out team specifically for the American audience, so it's probably the reason why we'll never see Mike Jones in anything else again, unfortunately. But who knows?
Something else? You mean, I don't know, like a hugely popular franchise crossover fighting game?
Oh, possibly.
Is that what you're referring to? Yeah,
I don't know. It could be.
All right, so here we are in Chapter 6. This begins with probably the longest submarine section that you go through outside of the whale. And this kind of maze here that you go through, this is massive, and it's very easy to get lost, to go in submerges and get and go backtrack or get sent back to where you came from. So,
or even find how do you do island?
Yeah, exactly. So making sure that he goes in the exact right route is rather important here. Otherwise, he could waste massive amounts of time.
Indeed.
And you know, while he's navigating through here, there's nothing particularly interesting or notable going on. So if you have any donations or blurbs, this is a great shot.
Let me say one thing right before that, though. He is actually dodging some triggers throughout this. You'll see a couple that he goes through just because they're right in the way of the fastest path, but they are scattered all throughout this. So he is going through areas to make sure that he doesn't hit those to waste more time, these dialogue boxes. But anyway, you can go ahead with the plug.
Thanks, appreciate it. I'm going to take the opportunity to shout out some of the people that put this marathon together. Chelny has been the main organizer of this marathon for 3 years running now and puts an incredible amount of work into it. So thanks to Choni for all the work making this happen, so we can get people out to GDQ that otherwise wouldn't be able to go. ClickSpark, Eldra, Orsa put in a tremendous amount of work with prep work and during the marathon itself too. So thanks to everybody that really makes this happen. There's a ton of other names as well, but this wouldn't happen without people sacrificing a lot of their time.
Mm.
So if you are a fan of the submarine, then you lost your opportunity to say goodbye to it, because we won't use it for the rest of the run. But now we're into the dungeons of Chapter 6. This is the first of 2 that we're going to do. This introduces an item called the Anklet, which not only turns Mike orange, but it allows him to now jump over 2 tile-wide gaps as opposed to just 1. So this is going to be, and it only lasts for as long as the room that you're in. Every room where you need it is going to provide you with one.
Ooh, bad pattern.
Yeah, definitely a bad pattern here. I anticipate he's going to kill... Oh, no. Oh, that's not what we wanted to see. So,
That's
unfortunately...
Okay. There'll be a backup.
Yeah, there's a backup. And he is... he's not going to be able to have the shooting star to kill these enemies here. So he's going to have to go a little bit out of his way in order to do this. But it's not a massive time loss, so it's fine. All right, however, this room, he's going to do a little leap of faith stuff here, and you might be like, whoa. All right, so he's going to use that medicine item to recover 6 hearts, and that's going to give him the Morning Star back so that he can not only fight these enemies, but there's also kind of a mid-boss that's coming up in a couple of rooms where it's extremely important to have the Morning Star, so we want to make sure we definitely have that for sure.
Yeah, Giant Turboss, the boss he's about to fight, is actually just a reskinned Octo the Huge, which means you guessed it, we get to wait to see how long he takes to come down again.
But unlike the Octo the Huge, we do not have any way of freezing this enemy. So even more than it was with the Octo the Huge, having your mashing on point is very important. So 2 key things there. First of all, his mashing was on point. He handled that very easily. But also, he picked up the Anklet during Turboss's death animation. That actually saves a decent amount of time, because normally when you pick it up, Mike freezes in place for about 2 seconds while he flashes orange. Now, we were able to do this during the death animation to save the time of having to jump across and do that otherwise. So that was very slick by him there.
And here, this room is just a matter of knowing where things are at in order to jump across. Now we're going to get the most overpowered item in the game, the cleats, which just clears everything.
Also, shoutouts to fellow StarTropics speedrunner, not Sid, being pedantic here in chat. I did say Morning Star. I meant Shooting Star. You know what I meant.
It's easy to mix them up, honestly. I say Morning Star all the time. That's literally what it is.
We all do, but that doesn't mean that we can't call each other out just for the heck of it.
Exactly.
This room right here.
Yeah, specifically for this.
This absolutely demonstrates the time-saving and murdering power of these cleats. It's so nice.
Now, it is faster, as you saw, for him to use the shooting star to kill them off in the end, just by a little bit. Now, this boss here, Broken Joe, the Easter Island head, he is only damaged by the horse hides, or the baseballs, for those of you who don't know. Oh, that was an awesome pattern, yeah.
Very nicely done. This is by far my least favorite boss in the game. Mostly because I just stink at fighting him, so he just frustrates the crap out of me. But
he's really tricky to nail down.
As bugdr does, this dude's a wizard, man. He gets a good pattern and he takes full advantage of it to make that fight a lot quicker than it would be casually, for sure.
Something unique that's going to come up here for 6-2 is we're not going to go up like in every other dungeon in the game. Because, why would we do the same thing every single time? We're going to hold right instead, because going up leads us to a false area. as this game likes to do so often to you.
If you do go up, you have to kill all the enemies in the room, and all it does is it lets you go back to where you came from. And casually, this can be very confusing. So, luckily we know to go right through the secret tunnel, and off we go.
Get on killing the bats. So now we're going to get a really cool weapon here, the shurikens. You can use those, and if you hit B again after you throw it out, it splits into two. One of the worst rooms in the game is coming up here, so I kind of want to stay quiet for when he's through, until he's through.
Beautiful.
Awesome, okay.
Beautiful.
That was probably one of the best biter rooms I've ever seen. Wow, that was fantastic.
So those little green things that are floating around, if you're familiar with the original Legend of Zelda, either the glowing or the red bubbles. Actually, no, it's more like the glowing bubbles. If you get hit by them, you cannot use any weaponry, shooting star or otherwise, for about it's about 12 seconds.
It's super long and really scary.
And of course, if you get hit again, then the timer resets. Oh man, the timing is tight to get that room one cycle too, but as Bug does, he just kills it. So anyway, so if you get hit by one of those things, it's an enormous time loss. Oh wow!
Oh wow, that was awesome.
That bug room too. God,
that rarely happens.
This is good stuff we're watching here, folks. I cannot overstate just how Bug is just absolutely dominating this video game right now. Oh my goodness.
Now again, we're going to abuse the fact that certain enemies also are locked to their grid movement, and just wait for him on the side and kill him before he has a chance to even turn towards us. So coming up is we fought one Hoodoo earlier already. Now he's going to fight two at once, and this isn't nearly as scary as it might look. These things only move like one tile towards you if you're in their line of sight to attack again. So you have plenty of time to kill them, so long as you know that mash timing.
And I was just about to say, those dolls are a fantastic example of accelerating your mash timing to make sure that you get enough throws of that weapon out there in time to kill them before they touch you. Because if they do, it's huge damage if they make contact with you. Oh,
excellent!
Man, just so fast on that boss there. And that's it. That's 6-2, and
6-2.
We're done with the dungeons. Where is he? He's leaving here sub 53. Goodness me.
Wow. And just as a reminder to him, I think he's good, but when he gets to the text dialogue up here, he needs to hold right. This is... If there was any one time in this game that you absolutely needed to hold right for your life, it's right here.
Yeah, Uncle Steve talks enough. You don't need to make him talk any more than he already does. Whoops.
Can't believe you'd spoil the story that we've absolutely gone over every detail on so far.
Hey, I've been trying to be pretty good about it, Tarek. Dude,
you have, actually.
Okay. Hey, look.
Steve! Who knew?
This random bespectacled man here who was just like, hey, what? Who are you? Oh, it's Uncle Steve. All right, so what he's telling us here is that, okay, here's the deal. Aliens, all right? Like, you gotta believe me. I need you to go up, and I basically just need you to just, in a blaze of glory, just confront them. Oh, and you need to get 3 cubes. Because, yeah.
Yeah, remember that melted rock earlier? It had 3 holes in it. There were 3 cubes in that. That's about all you have to go off of.
Yep. So Mike's going to emerge from this dungeon to find you'll see it in the beginning of the next chapter here.
Okay. We're going to be a little quiet through this dungeon here. 7-1 is called the Bottleneck, and for a good reason. This is a huge run killer. So we're going to be a little quiet here and make sure he can get through this.
Also, enjoy the enhanced music.
Yes. We got to find another dungeon track, and it's way better. Not that the first was bad, but this is just cool.
So
Anyway,
he could have gone up there on that screen to get an optional item called the Vitamin X, which completely refills your health and definitely gives you safety, but he's not doing that. He's going to go for it, and we're going to go silent while he does. Okay, all right.
Yeah. I'm going to wait until he's done with the boss.
Yeah, okay. Hey, yeah.
Okay, we're through.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Oh my god. So,
Oh man.
all right, let's work backwards there. So we call those affectionately fat robots. He got a pretty good pattern from them. What you want them to do is you don't want them to be directly on the line with the tiles. You want them to be one over so that you can still damage them, but they're not going to shoot directly at you, which is nice. Now, that's called the bottleneck because, as you can see, there was a very narrow point where we had to come through in the room with all of those green soldiers. And those green soldiers do a lot of damage and can really make your life difficult. But where it's really bad is on the next screen where those pink, like, speeder bikes are coming through, because they go so fast. It's very difficult to hit them with 2 hits of your yo-yo. But again, it's difficult for pretty much everyone. But Bug Doctor, man, nerves of steel there. The fact that he got through that. I mean, that just big shout out to him for pulling that off in a marathon setting. That was really remarkable.
Yeah, something else to mention about that. You want to make sure that you have that shooting star. That's the biggest reason why you want to make sure you don't take a hit, because the speeder bikes die in 1 hit when you have the shooting star, but take 2 with the yo-yo. And the problem with that is that they very, very, very often stack up on top of each other immediately upon entering the room, so you're dead upon arrival if you don't have the shooting star. So the fact that he got through that, he got lucky to get, patterns that let him through, and then he beat the boss afterwards. Like, that was absolutely fantastic.
All right, so he took a damage there. He's back down to the shooting star. Oh, back down from
Supernova.
The ultimate weapon, yes, the Supernova, which you need to have which you need to have at least 11 hearts in order to use. Now he only has 9.5, so he's going to have to use the ray gun here in this room, which hopefully won't be a problem. Oh my god, look at this, dude. Just making the best of a bad situation. So considering the fact that he did not have the ideal weapon for that room, he still made rather quick work of it, because there's a lot of RNG there too. Those turrets will either open up on the rank that you're on or a tile next to it, and if they do, then you got to kind of move around it to get into place to kill them. But and of course they don't always cooperate, but he worked with it, and he is through. But there's still plenty of this dungeon left, so I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. But, oh my
wow.
goodness.
So those robots,
oh my god,
in this particular room, they don't like to cooperate in that they will just stand to the corner of you and just like not move. So the fact that 2 of them moved in his direction is fantastic.
Oh,
awesome. Damages fight as well on the golden jetpack jumper.
Yep.
And he's got his health back already, so he doesn't need to go pick up the health that's right there. They do throw a lot of health at the end of this dungeon, which is very, very nice of them, considering everything that you've gone through.
Yeah, so this next room, he's going to be jumping through this on a very particular... Oh my god, or he's just going to blow my mind and...
Oh, have you not seen that?
I have not. Oh my god. Oh,
so,
God.
yeah,
Are you kidding me right now? Is he going to get the quick kill? He is!
Good, okay, good. Awesome.
What a savage.
So, a couple of things, yeah. On the previous room, there's 2 ways you can go through it. One that Bug Doctor did just there, which is faster, or the other one where you just jump using all 3 rows. And in this case, with Asteroid, the big robot here, The quick kill is something that Nadua found. Shoutouts to Nadua. If you push him back far enough and basically set when he's does his patterns over to where he doesn't jump, you can go and just pull the floor out from underneath him. Otherwise, you have to try and like push him back if he jumps forward, and that takes a long time. You can actually kill him as well. They make it seem like he has infinite health. Instead, he actually is just like refilling his health, I think, every time he moves back, if I remember that correctly. So you can actually kill him if you get him in the right spot and mash him down correctly, but it's not ideal in any way. Now, the other thing right here is we're done with Chapter 7, and we're going into the final chapter. Just like in Super Mario 3, I need to ask the chat, how many hands? Get your predictions right now. I'll donate $5 for every hand. that happens.
My goodness. Okay. That could add up, if you know what I mean. So here's what we're referring to. So there's going to be essentially 3 bosses he's going to fight here in Chapter 8. The first is Zoda, the main antagonist of the game. He's going to have one of 2 things that he can do. He can either show his face, or he can try and grab at you with a hand. It's 50-50 as to which one comes up. We want to see as many faces as possible, because we need to hit his face on 4 separate cycles in order to get through it. Now, for those of you that are familiar with like Link to the Past, the blue balls that Aghanim will throw out, which are you can't do anything with them because you can't damage him when he does that. This is a very, very similar principle where we want to see as few hands as possible, because each one that comes out wastes about 5 seconds.
Something like
it's about 4 or 5 seconds.
I don't know if it's 5. That seems a little high, but it's a lot of time. The average is 4 hands, so we're hoping for less, of course. 0 hands is possible, but you never know. And I think the record still is standing at 18 hands in a run. So.
Oh God.
You jam bananas in your ears.
Yes, you do. We do have to point that out. Yes, of course. Also, want to point out in this boss here, 1 hit kill, so there's no room for error here.
Yep.
There's 1.
That's 1.
2. Okay, there's the face.
1 head.
You only hit the face once. You can't do extra damage to it. Like I said, it's on a set number of cycles. Okay, there's a second face. That's good. Three faces in a row. Okay. This is exactly what we want to see.
Come on, 1 more face.
Hey!
Yeah, all right, 2 hands. That's not too bad.
Up. So when 2 hands, then 4 faces. So 2 hands, that is definitely better than average. So we are off and running. Good stuff.
So that's 1 of 3 bosses. All 3 of them have pretty high randomness factors to them. So we'll get to the next one, the reactor core, and hopefully things stay out of the way so that we can 1 cycle it. I say we, and I mean him, because I'm not playing. Okay, good pattern as well. So that green soldier alien can jump out either to the left or the right, and it's faster if he goes to the right to kill him there versus the left. Here he's going to use the ray gun. Okay, no 3rd star.
And the alien doesn't get in the way. That was
okay.
Exactly how you want that to go.
Yeah, we're going to use the ray gun there because you can actually fire it faster than the supernova, even though the supernova does more damage per hit. So you can deal more damage just based on the fact that you can fire faster with the other one. Now here, we're going to pray that Zoda gives us good RNG. So, plus there's 2 things that might happen. Oh, we might actually get the glitch in the end. There were no alien spawn that happened.
We're looking good.
On jump forward, good.
He's taking this a little safer. Yeah, he's not going to jump off these platforms here, which if he were going for world record, which he actually had a chance of getting right around there, he would have gone off the platform. So time is actually going to be coming up soon. As soon as you see Zoda Prime here kind of start vomiting and whatnot, then that means that it's in its death animation and we are good. There's time.
Time.
104.32.
Wow,
Oh my
that's
goodness.
nuts.
104.
In a marathon run.
that is serious. So world record is 104.16, I believe. So he was only 16 seconds off of that, which is just remarkable. Okay, so
Hi.
something we want to explain.
Hi,
Oh
Bug
my
Doctor.
god, that you bug? Oh,
That was
dude.
fantastic.
I was like, when Zoto was showing all those heads, I was like, oh god. I was like, please don't let me be on world record pace. I didn't want to.
Oh
But,
man,
what was that? 104.32, you said?
104.32. Just that's bonkers.
Amazing.
Absolutely
Ugh.
bonkers.
I didn't think it was on that much of a pace because I kind of got screwed in chapter 6 and in chapter 3 there. But
6 was really the only big one with the mummy ring.
That
And if it wasn't for that, that might have been it.
yeah.
Or plus Turbos. Turbos kind of didn't want to come down for a while.
He wasn't too bad though. We've all seen
worse.
many worse Turbosses.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. So anyway, so to explain what's going on right here is you see we've got this kind of montage going on. Normally what happens is after you kill Zota Prime, you leave that room, you walk through the rest of the spaceship, you get the third cube, the spaceship explodes, you drop down into the ocean, you start to swim to get to safety, you can't make it, you drown, and then all of a sudden it comes back up. Mike is chilling on the shore, and the dolphins have rescued him, the ones you rescued in chapter 2. They're like, hey man, we owe you one. Cool. And you come up on Sea Island, which is where you start out in chapter 1. You go back in, you talk to the chief, you talk to your uncle, you put the 3 cubes together, the 7 kids pop out. Couple of them are a little derpy, but it's cool, it's fun. And then the chief is, they're like,
Hey, don't forget the Fonz pops out with them.
Oh, don't forget. Oh yeah, the Fonz is there. Hey.
I wondered where he went.
Yeah, we're from the planet Argonia, and now we're here. And the chief's like, all right, well, if you're gonna be here, I'm gonna go ahead and adopt you as my kids. And then that's the end. But now we skip all of that kind of unintentionally because, and actually, this is actually a good point to show right here. You see how Zoda's spitting out that little kind of like
Alien
spider
spawn.
goofy thing? If you kill Zota Prime without him spitting those things out, it does its credits warp. That's why time is on boss kill as opposed to going through that cutscene, because you're not always going to do it. So
now the problem with that is that it's somewhat random. You can control it, but only after you get close to Zota. So if you stand near Zota, he will never spit those out. But in the first 3 seconds that it takes you to run over to him, he does whatever he wants. So in this case, we got lucky he didn't do anything with it. But if he happened to throw out, it's 2 of them. If he throws out 1, you're still fine, but if he throws 2, then the game continues. But in this case, he didn't throw any out in those first 3 seconds, so if you stay nearby him, you can get the credits warp every time.